Welcome, GW fans, to another edition of Raise High at GW. We're here at Tonic, the official pre- and post-game host for college basketball fans here in the district. And I'm pleased to be joined by head men's basketball coach Jamie and Christian. It's almost March. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I feel like our team is improving every single day, that we're playing our best basketball when it matters the most. We got a hot streak in us, so I'm excited to coach you guys.
I know this is a very stressful time of year, but is it the best time of year for you as a coach? Like, this is what you all build towards, right? Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's stressful at all. If you're a basketball player, you want to be playing meaningful games. You want to have an opportunity to play against the very best. You want to have a chance to ultimately play in the NCAA tournament. When you're living out your dream every day and competing for your dream every day, I wouldn't say that's stressful. Stressful is someone who's can't find a way to pay their bills. Like, we're getting a chance to play the game that we love, with teammates that we love to be with. This is the best time of year, and joy wins out this time of year.
We're going to have a chance to talk to your leading scorer here a little bit, and James Bishop, but what's it like to coach him right now for a guy that's really at this point of the season hitting his stride?
What's it like to coach the most underrated player in the A-10? It's great. I mean, he's been a dream to coach. I've been with James for 2 years. Just watching his growth as a person, as a leader, and as a player, it's just the kind of guy you want to be around every day. He's the first guy in the gym every day with a strict routine of how he wants to get better. He's open and honest about the things that he needs to do better. He's open and honest with his teammates. It's a reason why every place he's been has won more once he's been there and had an influence on it. And what he's doing inside our locker room every day, bringing around young guys like Brayon Freeman and setting the standards, for guys like Hunter Dean and how you should operate and how you should work. It's just really special. When he committed to us, we said he was a game-changing player for us, a program-changing player for us, and he's been every bit of that this season and hopefully the season beyond.
We talk about having the best players, or perhaps most underrated players, like you said, and it's nice to have them in the pocket when you're coming down the stretch here. And we talk about, and coaches say all the time, you want to be peaking in March, but there's really something to that, and you've had experience with that at the Mount and Siena, where your teams usually are peaking to that. So how do you get that out of them, and how do you keep that going here as we have the tournament in a couple weeks?
Well, I think it's important, as you're talking about learning and improving, to make sure that you're wrapping improvement with hope. And a lot of times coaches, as the year goes on, they lose enthusiasm as the season goes on, but they're expecting their team to have the same kind of enthusiasm and pop in their step. Hopefully when you're around us every day, you feel like we get more loose at the end of the year. We put a lot of work in. We always play a really good non-conference schedule against good teams that are well coached. So we learn about ourselves early. And then you get a chance to play in February and March. It's really just about trusting your team, them trusting you. If you've been able to build this bond with your unit, that's so much more than just basketball, and it's surrounded by love. You got a chance to really win a lot of games late in the year. And, we love our team. We don't lead them through fear. We lead them through love. I think we're feeling that energy right now. I think our community started to feel that kind of energy. And that kind of energy, has no ceiling and can really peak when it's most important.
And this year is rather unique, and I know you're a game by game. You're only looking at the next team on the schedule, but 4 teams left on the schedule. You've already played this season. So take us in that mindset of when you're seeing a team for the second time. Is it a different scout, or are you completely resetting? What does that look like?
Well, I think it's important to understand that all these teams are growing through the course of the year. No one's staying the same. Everyone's improving and making adjustments as the year goes on. Some guys are playing a little bit better. Some guys are playing a little bit worse. And so I think it's important for us just to keep identifying where our strengths are. So much of it, strategy is important. You want to know what a team does well. You want to be able to take them out of it. But the other thing is just knowing who your team is and keeping guys' spirits at the right level and keeping their focus in the right place and trying to find these little mental hurdles that you can help a guy become a little bit better. I think those are really important. When you're playing a team for a second time, whether you beat them the first time or you lost them the first time, you're obviously looking at the strategy to say, are there things that we need to adjust, or are things that we can consistently do? But having great respect for them and knowing that they can make some adjustments as well. Again, it's all about your team. It's all about our team, our camaraderie, how we're able to achieve a task over whatever's in front of us.
I want to shift gears a little bit to the fun side that we've seen here. The road game at Rhode Island, the road game at UMass, and you do it at home games as well, but Georgia's chain of command has become a thing. We saw it way back in the exhibition at Hood. Yeah. Take us inside that. How did that come up, and what's it all about? I'm just so big into incentivizing the actions and the mindset of what you want your program to be and what ultimately we want it to become. In year 3, we're still in some ways building what we want this program to become. And so Georgia's chain of command just really goes to the player that we feel like exemplified in the course of that game everything we needed to have success and to be at our best. And it doesn't always go to the leading scorer. It doesn't always go to the best defensive player, but it goes to the person that really embodies, what that moment meant for us as a team. It's been fun to go through with it. It's been fun to watch the guys really and really enjoy it. And as the games go on, as the pressure mounts, it's going to be fun watching their enthusiasm at the end of the games to achieve that. So does the recipient get to keep it Until the next game, are they wearing it around campus here?
I wish they were wearing it around campus. I think our guys are still a little self-conscious about wearing it around campus, but hopefully as the year goes on, they'll get a little bit more comfortable and they'll start to do that. But they do hold on to it until we get to the next game, and then we pass it on to the next person. And it's been an exciting tradition. I mean, if you're gonna have a family environment, traditions are important. We're still trying to create those traditions, and Georgia's chain of command is one of those traditions.
And you've touched on that in this new era of college basketball with NIL and player empowerment. That's something that's been big to you and really has grown here over your career as a head coach.
Yeah, I love player empowerment. I think it's really important. I think the biggest thing we have to try to do as educators is just try to continue to educate them on what that, what their talent and what their likeness means, and what it can do for the right ways and things that they can do in the wrong ways as well. And so we just try to be an environment where we're super open with them. We're trying to help them and try to connect them with the right kind of people. Hopefully Georgia's chain of command is one more way that they can kind of incentivize, what they've been doing and the success been having.
We need to get replica ones for Georgia's Army, don't you think?
I agree. I mean, I think Georgia's Army has been amazing this year. Their level of support, just looking back at Davidson and even the games through the course of the year, they've been amazing, and having fans back in the building. And again, Georgia's Army's been just amazing to be a part of. And, they've been super supportive of my tenure here, and they're going to be important as we have a couple of these home games come down the stretch.
Yep, a couple big home games coming down the stretch here. And Coach, we appreciate the time. We're going to talk to your leading scorer after the break.
Thanks so much. Great time.
James Bishop's coming up after this break on Raise High at GW.
The Afghanistan Papers are a collection of documents confidentially asking people what went wrong during the war. The public has a right to know what happened.
How do you think you pronounce that?
Mananalu.
Mananalu.
Mana to me means strength, power, honor.
That was awesome.
I had life-threatening bleeding in my brain. But thanks to the virtual reality technology at GW Hospital, my surgeons were able to look inside my brain and plan for a successful surgery. It's remarkable that I woke up and ran 5 miles this morning. I would tell GW Hospital, thank you for giving me new life.
For life's defining moments, the George Washington University Hospital, defining medicine.
Raise high. This isn't just our battle cry, it's our call, our challenge. Because when you were called to Washington, you were called to higher expectations, to a higher standard. We are called here to advance knowledge, to serve society, to change the world. This is the George Washington University, and what we make is history. So stand up, be bold, take risks, press on, push harder, raise high.
And welcome back to Race High at GW. We're joined now by the leading returning scorer in A10 play from last year. That's James Bishop, and your coach just called you the most underrated player in the A10. So we'll take that and run with it. But how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Doing great.
Let's talk about your recent stretch here, because you had 4 games in a row of scoring 25 or more points. It's the first time that's happened here since 1999, and a guy named Shante Rogers. What was that stretch like for you, and what went into that, torrid stretch that you had?
I think it was just, finding my spots on the floor, and then also having great teammates that are finding me out on the floor. And then, when you're hitting shots and your teammates keep finding you, you kind of just start to score a lot of points, and then that's how that went.
And I want to go back to the Davidson game, because you had one of the more ridiculous hot streaks, 4 threes in a row, I think, at one point. As someone who can't hit a three-pointer, what is that like? Take us inside your mind when you're going down the floor and every shot you're putting up is going in.
I think it's just a zone. The feeling of the ball. Everything feels good, and then, you kind of like, if I get an open look, it's going in. And then, like I said, I got great teammates, so they're finding me. I had one, I'm trailing the break, and Bray finds me, and I hit a 3. So having great teammates and then just being in the zone.
And then it seemed like there was just like this outpouring of emotion from you, increased after every shot. What has that been a transition for you here to be perhaps a little more emotional on the court?
Oh yeah, just trying to show my passion. I'm kind of a reserved guy on the floor, but lately it's just like, I really want to win. I'm really competitive, so it's kind of just a lot of emotion pouring out.
And again, we mentioned this is the first time somebody's done this since Shante Rogers back in 1999. He was a Baltimore guy. You're a Baltimore guy. There's a long list of guys we can name that are from Baltimore, but that means something to you, right, to be a Baltimore type of point guard?
Of course, being close to home, and then, him being from Baltimore is kind of good to, keep that tradition kind of going on. So, it's great that, two Baltimore guys have got that streak.
When you're growing up, though, as like a Baltimore, what does that mean to you to be like a Baltimore player or somebody from Baltimore? Just
being really tough, maybe not, like Coach said earlier, underrated. I'm kind of used to that. So, just always having that chip on my shoulder, playing with a sort of toughness. So, grit, that kind of thing like that.
And you mentioned that chip on your shoulder. You were not on the All A-10 team last year, and I know you set goals for yourself. Is that something that you sought out as a personal goal for this season?
I wouldn't say that. Those type of awards, those are chosen by people, so, you can't really control that. So I just try to control, me getting better, being a better player, being a better leader for the team. So those are the kind of goals that I set before the season. Awards and things like that, they're great, but, you can't really control those.
What are some of the goals? Do you have like actual metrics, or are there, just general things of I want to be a better X or better Y?
Yeah, this year coming in, of course being better, skilled all the way around, but, being a better defender, that's something I control. Being a better leader, being more vocal, showing more emotion on the court like you mentioned earlier, those things.
And we're going to throw it back to the time against Mason when you got teed up after Joe Bamisel's dunk. And I know that was, Coach has said, it's like, I'll take that tee. Take us through that moment, because you're celebrating each other's success at that point.
Yeah, Coach is huge on that, being happy for one another. He had a crazy highlight dunk, and I just, I had to turn up with him.
What's the relationship like between you guys? Because you guys have started to create this chemistry here that's been really palpable and really exciting here the last couple games.
It's been great. I think it really starts off the floor. Me and him run together on the road, so, we're always talking, always, bouncing ideas off each other, and that just, rolls over onto the court. So when we get out there, we kind of know where each other want to be at. I know his spots, he knows mine, so, it's just been great.
What's a typical conversation in a hotel room between yourself and Joe Bamisile?
Honestly, it's probably not even about basketball. It might be about music, and then it might be about basketball. Me and him both watching a lot of film, so we're talking about what the other team does, what to look for, where our spots will be at, what they do on offense, different things like that.
Have you noticed yourself watching more film now as a result of that?
For sure. I try to watch a full game before every game, to get a feel for the team, get an idea of what they do, how they guard, what they do on offense, kind of the tendencies of different players. So, yeah, definitely.
Do you sense, this is kind of a big world question, but do you sense now as a junior, your third year in college, that it's really starting to click a little bit more here? Do you sense that?
Yeah, for sure. Just being out there for this is my third year, so I kind of got the ropes of college basketball. And then just different reads on the court, and then being with Coach Jamie in the second year, kind of learning his offense, learning how he operates, getting a lot more comfortable.
I want to go back to your first year. You were at LSU. Joe Burrow just played in the Super Bowl. You were there the national championship season. Did you ever interact with him at all, or those types of guys?
Nah, I never interacted with him. I've been to a game before, but I never actually seen him like in person. But
do you think you could have played football?
No, not in college. I won't give myself that. Not in college.
We'll take you on the basketball court instead.
Yeah, definitely.
James, appreciate the time. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, head coach Caroline McCombs of the GW Women's Basketball Program joins us. That's after this.
This is our water, and this is also water, but it's more than that. This is a belief that our oceans are better filled with life than with plastic. So let's start sipping like lives depend on it, because they do. Mananalu. Sip for life.
Domino's new oven-baked dips are so new that we made a new commercial about their newness. Try new flavors like our cheesy marinara, baked apple, or hot and melty 5-cheese with our not new but still delicious twists. Carry out Domino's new oven-baked dips and twist combos or any 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
Choose from 12 different specialized master's programs and more than 25 graduate certificates for ultimate customization. You're a business leader in the making, and GW is where your future begins.
Tap into your unique style by creating your custom look with Tailor on Tap. With us, looking and feeling your best is the goal. From picking the perfect fabric to personalizing your stitching, Tailor on Tap knows how to bring your vision to life with exclusive custom clothing available to all. It's time to make your first impression last with Tailor on Tap.
Welcome back. We're joined now by GW Women's Basketball head coach Caroline McCombs. And Coach, your team's finding their stride here as we head towards March. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Excited to be here and talk about our team today.
Yeah, let's talk about your recent stretch. You had a nice little winning streak here going. What's been the key to success here the last couple games?
Yeah, I think, definitely coming through a lot of adversity has helped us to become closer and tighter and really be connected. We talked about being the more connected team all the time and, just sort of being in sync with each other, getting that flow. I think our team is just, from a defensive standpoint, we've really focused on that, and that's allowed our offense to get better as well.
Yeah, really impressive win. You look back at Monday, you hold St. Louis, a pretty potent team, to 41 points. But the last time you were on here, you were talking about how you really hadn't had your whole team for a game yet, right? But now we've started to see roles create. Have you noticed that? And I'm sure you picked up on that, where you've finally been able to put people into roles here down the stretch.
Yeah, I think throughout the course of the season, we've started 10 different lineups, and so now having had some consistency. It's been really important, definitely, finding key, as that starting point guard, Aria coming in strong, off the bench for us. Sheslani has had some big games, as of late, just really feeling a lot more confident. Obviously getting healthy has been important to keep her in that rotation. Mayowa coming into her own, I think, has been phenomenal. Obviously everyone's aware, MAXINE ENGEL coming in and just having a great start for us now as we enter in the second half of the season.
Let's talk about Max, because she's a walk-on who came to your program and was like, hey, I want to play. And, you're probably just like, let's add some people. But tell us about her story, because it's incredible what she's doing.
Yeah, so she reached out to us in May, actually. She really loved GW, wanted to come to school here. The public health program was exactly what she wanted. She had been recruited out of high school, but with being COVID, not a lot of people got to see her. She played for a high-level AAU team, the Tennessee Flight, and so, she just didn't get the opportunities to be seen. So we watched film on her, had a chance to really evaluate. We knew she could shoot the ball, couldn't tell exactly how tall she was, but she's a competitor in the classroom and on the basketball court, and she's competed since day one here, coming from a scout team player to earning a starting position for us. So we talk about earning things all the time in our program. She's definitely earned her position here.
Yeah, taking advantage of an opportunity, right? We mentioned the adversity your team went through and injuries and all sorts of COVID-related things. Took an opportunity and she's run with it and hasn't looked back.
Definitely. Ever since the Lehigh game, she was able to showcase what she could do against an opponent. She was doing those things in practice, and we were, toying around with when are we making that jump, when are we making that move, and then she proved herself, in that game that just continued to allow her more opportunities. So just really proud of her. I think she has a high ceiling. She's going to continue to get better. Just really excited about coaching her.
You had a blossoming career with her, and then on the other end you have Kiara Frames, who just scored her 1,000th point. You saw her a lot with Albany when you were at Stony Brook, and now you have her on her side, and you mentioned she's really taken over that starting point guard role. What she meant, and what was it like to see her get that 1,000th point?
Yeah, Kiara is a relationship person, so we've really worked on building that relationship, and she's just continued to blossom. So exciting to watch a player score 1,000 points, whether you're coaching against her, she's on our side now. Just finding the ways that she can score and be successful on the court. She's a floor leader in general, but she definitely has her ways and abilities to score and make an impact for us, and we know that's important. But just enjoying coaching her, watching film. I like to learn from our point guards as much as I hope they learn from me. So we've had a lot of interactions closely lately. And
comparing her story to Maxine's story to Sheslani's stories to Naya's story, you're really not leaving any stone unturned here with recruiting. Pardon the pun, pound the stone. But you're really going all over the place here for recruiting, right?
Definitely. I mean, we have to find the right fit for GW, so we're always looking for that. We found a lot of pieces, and we're putting them in place and together. And again, I love diversity. I love bringing in different people from different places and having them connect and learn about each other. And I think that's what this team has been about since day one. And you can't pre-plan any of the things that happen. That's just like, basketball is a microcosm of life. You have to learn through those tough times and through those adverse times, and you hope that you become closer because of the things that you've gone through. And I think that's happening for our team. Right now, we have to continue to pound the stone and grow from a win as much as we have from a loss. So just keeping us humble every day and taking one day at a time. And
it's been pretty impressive to see the blending of all those newcomers. Then you have a bedrock to go on with Mayowa Taiwo, Essence Brown, Maddie Loader, Faith Blethen, and they've been really beneficial for you to bring it along here in year one, right?
Absolutely. The core returners that we had are so instrumental into our growth, helping us learn. GW, our incoming players, setting the standard for how things are going to be day in and day out. So they've been a tremendous impact, on and off the floor.
one final thing for you. We're a couple weeks away. You got the tournament coming up in Wilmington. It'll be your first taste of the A10 tournament. You got your first run through here through the A10. What are you looking forward to the most about being able to compete out on a neutral floor in an A10 tournament here in a couple weeks?
Yeah, it's been awesome going through game by game, each team that we're going to play. I think there's a lot of parity here. But yeah, having an opportunity to play on a neutral floor, everyone's 0-0 at that point in time. And I think it's going to be terrific. A lot of competitive teams, a lot of respect for the coaches in the league. So we're going to be ready when we play our best basketball in March.
Sounds like a great plan, Coach. We appreciate the time as always.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to switch gears here, send it outside to the baseball team, and that is head coach Greg Ritchie. He's coming up on our final segment of Raise High at GW after this. Welcome back to Raise High at GW. Wrapping it up here with a Hall of Famer here with the Buff and Blue. That's Greg Ritchie, who's the head coach of the baseball program. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely. We're excited. It's hard to believe it's baseball season with how cold it's been, but you guys get started this weekend down in Texas. Take us through, getting ready for the season and open it up this weekend.
Well, we're real excited to get going. We leave tomorrow. And we'll head down to UTRGV, and the guys know that regardless of whether it's hot in Texas or it's cold, a little bit cold here in DC, we control our own volume, we control our own temperature, and we just start getting after it. So we're excited to get going.
The first thing you put on your whiteboard here when you got this job a couple of years ago, almost a decade ago now at this rate, was Omaha, and this team's goal is always to get to Omaha. So what's it going to take here to get to the A10 tournament and break through and get onto the NCAAs?
I think like any year, it takes a big consistency, a volume of consistency, and guys to create chemistry together. And of course, stay healthy along the way as well. And obviously have a little bit of luck, but playing really good baseball is the thing, day in and day out. And you're going for the win every day, and you're playing inning by inning. And if the guys can stay inning by inning, we got a chance to do anything we want. We just keep pushing.
And it helps when you have a couple horses at the beginning of your rotation with Harrison Cohen and Connor Harris, who had great experiences last year and then really carried it over into summer ball. What should we expect from them at the top of your rotation?
There's high expectations for those guys every year since they've gotten here, but as you have mentioned, they have just increased the volume of that expectation by what they have done each and every outing they've been in. Harry Cohen is a guy that is going to be a Friday night guy. He's 91, 93. He's got a hard slider. He's got a good changeup. He's a bulldog. He gets after it, and he went and pitched in the Cape, and he was really successful in the Cape Cod League. And then you mentioned Connor Harris. He steps into a Sunday role, a moment of need for us, and he steps up, and he's our, because Sundays are for champions. And he jumped in there, and he was a champion, and he got after it and let us have a chance to win every game. We won a lot of Sundays, most Sundays. And his summer ball was in the Appy Pro League, and he threw up some really huge numbers. He's a very big control guy. He's a 6'9" guy that pitches downhill with an overtop breaking ball, and he goes 44 innings and 43 strikeouts and walks one guy. He's been that guy since he's got here of throwing strikes, and we're very excited for him to be in that center position to that hump day of the series and bring us to a Sunday win.
And then we talk about building your team from the middle of the diamond out. You have a returning catcher in Anthony Frechette, your returning middle infielders, Noah Levine, Steve DiTomaso, and then the best center fielder, I'm not even going to say arguably, the best center fielder in the A10 and Cade Fergus. What's it like to have that type of luxury with those four guys being the crux of your team?
Yeah, they obviously, gel the team. They keep a solid core and foundation, and when you got a catcher that controls the game like Tony Frechette does, he's one of the in my opinion, he's one of the top 2 or 3 catchers, if not the top catcher in this conference, and he has been for the last couple of years defensively for sure. And he figured out the bat a little bit last year and did some really good things at the bottom of the lineup. His throwout percentage is one, I think it's the top in the league. Then you got the 2 guys in the middle. You got DiTomaso, who takes over short, and he's it's a new position for him, and he learns it fairly well, and is a second-team All-Conference, and is one of the top leaders in the conference in hitting as well. And of course, Noah Levine has been the guy. He's been our 2-time MVP at second base. He turns 2 really well, and I agree with you. Cade Fergus might be the best center fielder in the Eastern Seaboard, in my opinion. And he's really figured it out with the bat because he went up to the Cape, and he learned a little bit stronger competition against him, and he's starting to figure it out. He's had a great fall. And early spring, really fantastic.
We're excited to see him jump this year. And if you haven't seen him yet, go out to the Tuck and watch him play center field because it's worth the price of admission on alone. But let's talk about some new guys. You got 15 newcomers on your team. 1 or 2 guys that could stand out this year.
Well, I think you're looking at probably Tim Nicholson, who is a catcher that is really a super utility guy. You know, he's not the guy that you would think that's the prototypical catcher. This guy is quick. He's agile. He's fast. He can play multiple positions, whether he knew it or not. He can. This guy, you're going to see him all over the field. He's a 6'6" runner, and he's been leading off for us through the back end of the spring here. I think big things out of Ludwig coming from Wake Forest. He's a kid that came from Wake Forest, a fifth-year guy, and he was an everyday player there in the outfield. And I think he's a guy that's going to help the middle of the lineup a lot. So, and Micheletti is a guy to watch out for.
He only hit a couple walk-offs last year.
I know he was here last year. But he's still growing, and this guy can be a real force.
A lot of names to keep an eye on here as we get set, and also the fun part of the tuck. And you've started this that we've now seen permeate throughout the entire department is after the game you get the team on the mound, bring out the GW flag, and we're standing there and we're fist pumping to the fight song. What's that like in terms of the school spirit that you teach about for your team?
Isn't that the funnest part?
It is the best part.
That's right after the W, which is the funnest part. The fight song happens. I think it's a matter of pride. I think it's a matter of respect for your school, your team, your colors, GW, and our alum love it, and our fans love it, and we love it, and we sing the song loud and proud. And whether it's a W, whether it's an L. Obviously, more often W's than L's is the thing, but our guys love singing it, and they have a lot of pride in the buff and blue.
And here's to a lot of fist pumping and dubs this year out of the tuck. Coach, we appreciate it.
Get those dubs. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of Raise High at GW. Be sure to tune in a couple weeks for our next episode, and we'll also see you at Smith Center, Mount Vernon campus, and also out of the tuck. Coach, appreciate the time.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, that'll do it for this episode. We'll talk to you next time.